There's a warrant for your arrest. What? Homicide.
What's he got in his hand?
Drop it! Drop it! Whatever it is, drop it!
Dragged her into the garage.
It's on video.
For who? Who do you think?
That's my answer question.
She survived. She was traveling with me.
I heard a really serious woman scream, like, just screaming, like she was being attacked.
While the whole world was dying in the grip of the COVID pandemic, an unfortunate woman fell victim to the cruel pleasures of a psychopath. It was a horrible Saturday in March 2020 when the gut-wrenching murder happened. To this day, the homicide makes people go green about the gills, and they cannot help but baffle about how someone can be so insane and brutal. Let's check the developments that led to this massacre that gripped the human mind. The viral messages. Good morning. Tested positive for coronavirus early this morning. That means I must stay here for at least 2 weeks. I consulted with the virus screening hotline and admitted myself into the Jupiter Medical Center's emergency room. That's the bad news, but I'm at the CDC/coronavirus treatment facility that only handles COVID cases. These were the messages sent by a woman named Gretchen Anthony to her daughter, 12-year-old Ava. There was nothing unusual about these messages during the pandemic, but something heart-rending was waiting to unravel before her family and friends. In the beginning, Gretchen's loved ones were concerned about her health because of the fatality rate of coronavirus.
Gretchen's been in touch with me because she's in the CDC center. She has the virus.
Still, they were optimistic as Gretchen was admitted to the best CDC and will get well soon. As time passed, Gretchen's family became terribly worried, especially since Gretchen was only texting and not attending to their calls. They started to wonder if Gretchen had been sending the messages or possibly someone else. Gretchen Anthony's family and friends contacted the police and asked them to thoroughly check her home. What the police figured out from a neighbor was perturbing.
And then I heard her scream, no, and then I heard something about it hurts, stop it.
I heard a really serious woman scream, just screaming, like she was being attacked. When the police inspected Gretchen's home, security cameras were found removed from the walls. When the video footage was recovered from the cloud storage, the images showed a man hiding on Gretchen Anthony's patio the morning the neighbor heard the screams. Who was Gretchen Anthony, and why was she found missing? Why did she send fake messages to her daughter? The victim. Gretchen's friends remember her as a tremendously heart-centered, radiant, and just very caring, beautiful spirit. Gretchen lived most of her life in the northern parts of the United States. She married Jeff Dreyer and had a daughter Ava, whom she loved more than herself. After splitting from her first husband, Gretchen met the hot young trainer David Anthony at the Orange Theory Gym, and that's how her second love life started. The attraction soon led to the couple's marrying at an Elvis chapel in Las Vegas in 2015. Being a devoted mother to her 12-year-old daughter, Gretchen still raised her child in Jupiter, Florida, while sharing custody with her ex-husband. David Anthony also proved to be a bonus dad for Ava. Everything was sunshine and rainbows until Gretchen found that David was extraordinarily paranoid. She couldn't tolerate him anymore as he started assaulting her at the expense of his mental condition. She had him move out and file for divorce on February the 28th, 2020. After the filing for the divorce, Gretchen looked much more relieved and started moving on. The investigation. In response to the request submitted by Gretchen's family, the police finally arrived at Gretchen's Abacoa townhouse in Jupiter, Florida. Though they could not find Gretchen there, they could collect a lot of evidence indicating that something horrible had occurred. Abominably, police found a blue and white towel on the drying machine with a dark staining that implied that Gretchen's family had reason to be worried about. The door from the patio into the adjacent garage looked mysterious, with its broken off key in the deadbolt. But the officers managed to get through the door to see nothing extraordinary, except an unusual pungent smell of a cleaning product, and also found some soap-like substance running downwards from the garage door and onto the driveway. The other evidence that the police identified inside the house was much more disturbing and disheartening. There were multi-purpose cleaning liquids, shards of glass along Gretchen's bed, and a broken picture frame. The missing security cameras that were previously installed throughout the house hinted at the probability of an intruder. Everything leading to a sad end, except for Gretchen, was found at her home. Shockingly, Gretchen's Mini Cooper was found in the Jupiter Medical Center parking area, with her purse inside. When the cops checked the medical center surveillance footage, they found something creepy. It showed the car entering the parking space and a tall figure bizarrely exiting it. Police later discovered that the CDC facility that Gretchen was taken to had never actually existed. The detectives also assembled video evidence from the surveillance cameras. To make their blood run cold and their assumptions right, the footage gave them a glimpse into the victim's last moments pleading for her life. The murderer. On March the 19th, days before she went missing, Gretchen shared a post on her Facebook profile with the following quote: "When turmoil is all around you, the wisest choice is to build serenity within you." Slowly, the frequency of communication started declining, and Gretchen entirely vanished by the third week of March before her family started getting messages about her being quarantined due to COVID. During this time, Gretchen's daughter Ava was being looked after by her ex-husband, Jeff Dreyer, who lived in Jupiter. However, Gretchen was also worried about her safety after the separation and had security cameras installed throughout her home and garage. Who was she afraid of? Was it David? Her partner David had moved in with his mother, but could not move on as Gretchen did. David's upbringing was done by his single mother, which resulted in several troubled years. He suffered from low self-esteem issues as he was bullied at school. David's young years were filled with discontent as he fought severe depression. Back in 1997, while David was still in college, he was arrested for attempting to rob a Blockbuster while threatening people with a weapon that turned out to be a squirt gun, and during the incident, he allegedly assaulted a police officer. David was later diagnosed with bipolar disorder, but refused to take any medication. Instead, he devoted every bit of himself to his physical well-being. David was soft-spoken and insecure, but he had always delivered his best when it came to his profession. Soon after his divorce, his former boss, Tabitha Hopkins, noted that he became increasingly unstable. He regressed behavior-wise and slowly became harder to manage. But there was no clear evidence to prove whether Gretchen was alive, and if she was killed, who could be the culprit? The God's signature. Being the prime suspect, detectives tried to locate Gretchen's estranged husband, David Anthony. Finally, police contacted David's mother, who had been staying with him after the separation. David's mother informed the officers that her son was heading for Costa Rica as part of his work. As the investigation continued, police suddenly received a crucial update that Gretchen's phone had been active and moving westward along Florida. Does this indicate that Gretchen is alive? Surprisingly, it was also unveiled that David's phone had been beeping near a cell tower around the same area where Gretchen's phone had been found active. David was trying to sell jewelry to multiple pawn shops, saying it belonged to a loved one who had died from coronavirus. Ultimately, David's phone was located in the area of Pescos, Texas, and the next day, cops were finally able to stop him. David was traveling along with his dog in a black Nissan truck. The truck's bed was filled with various pieces of luggage, which seemed like he was trying to escape. After a search crossing 6 states, spanning nearly 2,000 miles, on March 31st, 2020, David Anthony was finally in custody and brought to the state headquarters in La Cruces, New Mexico. Jupiter detectives Kelly Sanders and Jared Kennison interrogated him with the prime motive of compelling David to reveal the location of Gretchen's body. During the investigation, the look of horror that flashed across David's face was shocking. David claimed that Gretchen wasn't dead. He tailored a fake story that Gretchen was on the run and was traveling along with him in a separate vehicle because she had unmasked illegitimate activities at the company where she worked, and someone was after her. Kennison and Sanders confronted David with the evidence captured on Gretchen's video system. David froze in his chair, and during the investigation, he claimed that Gretchen was alive almost 35 times.
She's alive. She was traveling with me.
Later on, detectives switched tactics and tried to appeal to David's bond with Gretchen's young daughter Ava. Even though David never accepted that he committed the murder, the police had enough evidence to prove him wrong. David pleaded guilty to the murder in exchange for a sentence of 38 years in prison on the condition that he led detectives to the location of Gretchen's remains. Gretchen's body was discovered in the forested area near a nursing facility 3 miles from her house, where she had been wrapped in a blanket. Her death was caused by the injuries sustained by her neck and torso. David did ask for forgiveness, but Gretchen's family unanimously decided to never forgive him and let karma give him what he deserved for taking the life of an innocent lady and slaughtering the dreams of a small child over nothing. Let us know what you think about this case, and do subscribe to our channel to unveil more terrifying stories around the world. We'll see you guys in the next video with another mystery. Goodbye.